Everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Today's guest, you know her very well. She is your three-time and reigning Ms Olympia champion. She is also your three-time and reigning Rising Phoenix champion from the Wings of Strength Productions. Please welcome Andrea Shaw. What's up, Andrea?
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Muscular development in the house. Thanks for having me on, Ron.
Truly, you are Ms. Pretty Muscle, just like your Instagram. Got some
Thank
questions
you.
for you, Andrea. We haven't talked in a few months. So, here's one I wanted to ask you. Looking back at your contest history, you started off in figure, turned pro in women's physique, did only one contest in that division, then placed second at the 2019 Chicago Pro in your first appearance in women's bodybuilding, which was like a couple weeks later, I believe. It was that same
Yeah.
same time. Then got seventh at the Wings of Strength. So this is 2019 we're going back to. Did you think about trying to qualify? Oh, you couldn't qualify for the Olympia that year because there was no Olympia. So do you think you could have had maybe one more Olympia title? Do you think you were ready that year to win? Or
No,
did you
I
need
definitely
it that
wasn't.
year?
Bodybuilding was still so new.
Mm.
Yeah, it was still so new. I got thrown into it, so to speak. Yeah, because once I made my pro debut at the Toronto Pro, that was like June the 30th, roughly. The Chicago Pro was July the 4th or 5th that year. So I didn't have much time. I kind of really had to shift gears real quick. And even that short amount of time, yes, I got second, but I still felt like I was learning to be a female bodybuilder as opposed to being a women's physique competitor. So yeah, I think I needed that time to really give myself, some grace. But I thought it's an opportunity. I said, well, I want to do it. It was back then the equivalent of the Miss Olympia with the Rising Phoenix, I should say. And I knew that having gotten second place at the Chicago Pro, that put me in a good spot to, put my hat in the ring for the Rising Phoenix that year.
So you got beat by six women that year at Rising Phoenix.
I
But since
did.
then, not one of those women has beaten you, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So
That is correct.
of course, I
Yeah.
mean that should be pretty obvious. The current record of Ms. Olympia titles is held by Iris Kyle at 10. Linda Murray has 8 wins. You never got the chance to compete against either one. Who do you wish you could have competed against at your best? And do you think you could have beat either or both of them at your best and their best?
Oh man, I mean that would be a call for the judges to make because I mean we all have such different looks. Linda was a little more streamlined. Iris brought intense, crazy conditioning, right? And I feel like I have a little more mass than the both of them. So yeah, that would be a tough call. That would be. I think we would definitely make top three.
Oh,
I can probably guarantee you that.
well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, yeah, I think when you think about the mass differential, I don't know what the weights were exactly on them, but you're definitely bigger than Iris ever was. You're definitely bigger than Linda ever was, but yet you still have the small joints and everything. So
Yeah.
it's an evolution of the sport. You're like the next evolution, basically. Uh, one more of those silly what if questions. If you could have competed in any era of women's bodybuilding other than the current one, is there an era or group of women you would have loved to competed with?
Yes, I definitely would have loved to have competed with, I would say probably 2012 up to 14. So I definitely would have wanted to get on stage with like Alina Popa, Iris, even I mean, I've competed with Yaxeni, but Yaxeni back in 2020 was the different Yaxeni from when, she was competing then. But yeah, I mean, after looking over videos, vast amounts of videos, they just had a different era, but they had fun. And I would have loved to have gotten a shot at maybe a Miss International title at the Arnold. But yeah, that's definitely if I had to peg one, it would have been a Miss International against those ladies. That would have been ideal.
Did you remember that Yaxeni won an Olympia title?
Yeah.
You remember? I don't know why I forgot that, but I'm looking in Wikipedia, which is always 100% accurate. And no, it's not.
Right.
But I'm looking at Ms. Olympia champions. I'm like, oh yeah, Yaxeni beat Iris one year. I totally forgot.
Yeah. And it was just the one, but she did.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Iris getting beat the Ms. International. It was just because she had like a lump on her glutes. That's the only reason she lost. She was killing everybody everywhere, physique wise, but they punished her that year. But okay, God bless you, Yaxeni. Here's the next one. You are the first Ms. Olympia champion since the show returned in 2020 after being gone for 5 years. As the ambassador of the title, did it bother you that the event wasn't held for half a decade? Even though it was
A
before
little.
your even before your time, but still, that's your title.
Yeah.
That's your Ms. Olympia.
Yeah, a little, only because I felt a lot of pressure going into it.
Mm.
Because at that point it was like, who's really going to take the lead and the charge for what the industry standard will be. So yeah, I felt a lot of pressure, like a lot of pressure, to the point where I was doing probably excessive amounts of cardio at that point. Because I mean, I was up the day that I was flying out to Arizona to compete at the Rising Phoenix. I was up doing cardio at like 2 a.m.
Mm. Wow.
Super tired. Yeah, I almost got into a car accident on my way to my coach's house. Yeah, so I mean, I felt like it was the right move to make back then, but looking back in hindsight, I probably just should have chilled out. But I felt so much pressure because it was the first time it was going to be back, and it was kind of like, man, you know, let me just do it my very best and then see what happens.
Yeah, because you there hadn't been Olympia for years, so nobody was really the favorite. It was kind of an open show. There were people that had established reputations, women you were up against, but it was wide
Yeah.
open. It wasn't like there was a defending champion or even anybody that had won the title in years and years. So I could
Well,
see where the pressure.
Iris was
Mm.
slated to come that year in 2020. Yeah.
What happened?
She ended up getting sick. And from what I remember that night, she may have gone to the hospital.
That's right.
Hmm.
I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't it, I think they announced it at the finals, didn't they? Did she?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
They did. And
yeah,
I saw her in the elevator and I was just, looking at her. I was like, okay, are you feeling okay? And she told me she was a little under the weather, but I'm like, you haven't put your body through a prep in a long time, mama. Maybe consider just how you feel. I mean, I'm not saying don't compete. I want you on stage because I did. I
right.
wanted her on stage, but yeah, her health, I mean, obviously is the higher level of priority.
Yeah, she was there at the show. She was ready to go, right?
Yeah, she came to
Yeah,
athlete check-in and everything, got her
that's right.
number. I mean, she
Hmm.
was set. But yeah, she didn't quite feel like she could really get it up, that strength to do it. I know she had the heart to do it, but
Right.
yeah, she really did not look like she was in good shape.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that a few times with different divisions, different people. Where like just random example, like Logan Franklin last year. I feel so bad for anybody that preps for the Olympia, gets all the way there, and then something at the last minute happens. They can't do. Can you imagine? I
No.
mean, the amount of work, blood, sweat, tears, everything that goes into a prep, and then you have to pull out. Just obviously your health is much more important. But
Yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah.
rough. Glad that never happened to you. Okay. Last silly question. All my questions are silly. You won two titles in Orlando and one in Las Vegas. If the Olympia was going to make one of those cities its permanent residence, which one would you prefer?
I'm torn on this one. I like
Mm,
Orlando. I really like Orlando.
mm,
Because I'm not a gambler, so I don't have much that I can do in Vegas.
right.
But Tim Gardner, who now heads up the expo, is a really good friend of mine. And from a promoting standpoint, we can get a greater number of bodies in that expo, right? If we stay in Vegas.
Mm,
And I like the stage in Vegas because the stage was a true theater stage, and I felt like it was just easy. So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, for my entertainment, I would like Orlando, but for actual performance, I prefer Las Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, that Planet
Yeah,
Hollywood, I've
I
never
would
been
have to say,
inside
yeah,
that.
most of my time is on the stage.
Yeah. That is a beautiful stage. The Planet Hollywood Theater,
Say
whatever it's
again.
called. Yeah, they
Yeah,
built it for Celine Dion, I
they're
think, years ago, right?
fantastic.
So yeah, okay. So there's a yeah. I never can. People ask
Yeah,
me
I
that.
believe
I
you're
never.
right.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's where she was for like her residence for 3 or 4 years. But all right, move on. Rising Phoenix show is
Okay,
5 weeks out for the
okay,
Ms
that's
Olympia.
cool.
You're in prep for Rising Phoenix right now, correct? No.
I
What?
am.
Oh, don't
I
scare me like
am.
that. Yes. So how many weeks out are you from right now from Rising Phoenix as we're recording on July 11th, a Tuesday?
We are 12 weeks out.
Oh, okay. So early stages,
Can you
early
believe
stages.
it?
No, time flies. I do believe
Oh,
it. So is it
yeah.
usually closer to the Olympia or further apart, or is it usually about 5 or 6 weeks
Yeah.
away?
It's usually about 5 weeks, with the exception of the first year. The first year we had like 12 or 11 days, which no pressure, but I mean, I was riding the high from the Rising Phoenix win, so it wasn't as much pressure, but I was still nervous because it was the first one, right? So yeah, but I like that. I like the window of the 5 weeks because then if there are any changes, number one, I get a break, a little small break of like 3 days. I still train, but I get to, eat a little more liberally for those 3 days. And then I jump back on the diet. I never stop training. I never stop the cardio. And I usually try to take a small little vacation, a small little trip just to kind of reset. Oh yeah, and it's working out good. I mean, I went to Tampa last year, came back and went to a different place in Michigan, I believe the year before. So I like that. I like that I have enough time to kind of decompress, refocus, get my head back into it, and then I can, refine a few things if I need to before I hit the Olympia stage.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you peak 100% for the Rising Phoenix or do you save a little bit extra for the Olympia?
Our goal is always to peak for both.
Okay.
And with 5 weeks, that's a good amount of time to do a really good depletion again,
Mm,
to prepare for the Olympia.
yeah. So in that aspect, it's probably better that it's not real close to the Olympia because a lot of
Absolutely.
people rebound from a show and then it's hard to reset the system to peak again. And like if you had to do it in a week or even 2 weeks, it's too soon for a lot of people. But 5 weeks is
Exactly.
5 weeks over a
Exactly.
month. You're good. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's golden.
Do you know what kind of car the Rising Phoenix is giving away this year?
I wish I did, but if I have a request, I would love a Mustang.
Okay. Because what do you
I
already
am a
have?
Chevy girl, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what the Mustang, what are the bells and whistles?
Yeah. What are the cars you've won so far?
Last year I won a Chevy Silverado High Country, which I didn't think I would like, but I am not getting rid of that truck. I love that truck.
It's a lot
I
of
won a
fun.
Corvette, a C8 Corvette, in 2021, and then I won a Camaro ZL1 in 2020.
Do you have all three?
I sold the Camaro.
That's okay.
I need a
Yeah.
bigger house,
Yeah. I mean,
a
how
bigger
many people
garage.
how many people have like a 5 car garage for God's sake? Okay.
Oh man.
Let's talk dynasty now. Right now, the two most dominant Olympia champs are Sydney Gillen in figure with 6 wins, Chris Bumstead with 4 classic physique Olympia titles. You have 3 Ms Olympia titles. You said in the last interview your ultimate goal is 11 Ms Olympia titles for the all-time record. I could see that happening. I imagine it would be intimidating thinking about having to beat every other top female bodybuilder in the world 8 more times. So, do you try to think in terms of taking it 1 year and 1 win at a time?
Absolutely. And I try to tell people, I still want to make sure I stay in a good mental space with it. Obviously, I also still want to make sure that I remain injury free, and those things are what add to the longevity, in this sport. So yeah, as long as I'm still in a good mental space and I have that fire and that passion to go after it, because a prep takes a lot. It does. It's very time consuming with the amount of hours that you have to practice, the routine, the posing, preparing the food and all while sometimes still traveling, right? Because for the last 2 years, I've traveled just about 4 weeks up until it was time to get on stage, which is not, yeah,
Good idea.
it's usually not advice, but I've been able to navigate, very well with it. So this year I am gonna, dial it back and not travel that close, but. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that I really, really want 11. Like, why
Yeah.
not? But
Wow.
right now, today, I know that 1 year at a time, I can just keep going year by year, and let's pray that I get there.
You mentioned injury free. So I've noticed I don't hear about too many women in the sport getting injured. Guys are always like tearing biceps and quads and pecs and shoulder surgery and this and that. What what do you attribute you've never had a major injury, correct?
Correct.
So 3 Olympia titles and no major injuries. What are some of the things that you do or don't do that give you this injury free status that not everybody enjoys?
Well, I make sure that at a certain point during the prep, right, I will lift moderately heavy, moderately, up to a certain point. And after, once we hit like the 8 week mark, I'm not lifting heavy. I'm lifting, more moderate weights, and the reps are where it's at for me. Sometimes it's 30 reps. Sometimes for lower body, it may be 50, 60, 70 reps, which
Wow.
it seems like a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah, I really go after that because it really helps to dial me in. And if you do it the right way, it can add in a little bit of a cardio element to the training, right? With that coupled with supersets, right? Yeah, there's a lot that can be done in a short amount of time. So I try to be in and out of the gym within 45 minutes. So I'm not in there for hours, just hammering, hammering, hammering. It's a matter of, making sure that you're efficient with your time and then that your recovery matches your intensity when it comes to that training. So a lot of people look at me crazy when I tell them, I get body work done. So body work is not just massage. I don't know where that notion came from, but the person that I use, we go into Graston, cupping, cool temper rolling, as well as some of the, yes, more myofascial release techniques. But, those are really, really like key components for me because I need that fascia to be loose. And I will get that done for 3, sometimes 4 hours at a time. And sometimes it's just on one body part, like legs, for instance. Because again, legs have been a focus of mine to continue to improve. So yeah, I make sure that my recovery matches, the amount of work and time with 3 leg days a week. Yeah, I try to get it done on the days I train legs. So that coupled with stretching independently, I actually just hired a company that will stretch for me. They will do it passively, and I just kind of lay on the table. It's for 30 minutes. I go 3 times a week, and it's easy. So I think it's just the attention to the recovery is just as important, if not probably the most important as what you do in the gym.
So you're doing that body work 3 to 4 times, 3 times a week
Three
for
times a
three
week.
for 3 to 4 hours at a time.
Yeah,
Wow, that is dedication. That is
yeah,
it's a huge investment. Do you
a
have to
huge.
stop and eat, go to the bathroom and stuff? I mean, I can't imagine
Yeah.
sitting there for 4 hours like that.
Oh
Wow.
yeah. I usually will go to sleep at a certain point, but sometimes you can't because I mean, again, they're really using the tools to get in there, right? That's why I tell people this is not a regular massage. There's a purpose behind this massage.
Yeah.
And those tools, those grasping tools, are really heavy. So and each one is shaped differently
Yep.
to target that particular area. Like the one for the quads is different from the one for like the shoulder, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very
I didn't know
interesting, but it
that.
worked.
Yeah. I mean,
It
I've
definitely
seen them
worked.
lined up when I've had it done, but I didn't realize they were for different muscle groups. I just lay
Yeah, and
there.
I have a yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think everyone knows what Graston technique is. It's tools. They have to have a special certification to be able to do this. It's not just don't just go to anybody that says, yeah, I can do Graston. And they actually
Right.
scrape at the fibers, and it's painful, but yeah, people swear by it. Obviously, it's done well for you.
Listen, Ron, every time I get off the table, we'll hit a few poses and we'll do like before and afters, and it is absolutely astounding the difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Um, let's go. Let's talk about Mutant right now, your sponsor. When I try to remember the last time I saw a female bodybuilder with a really solid supplement contract and appearing in their ads, I have to think back like 20, 25 years. I can't think of anything more recent than that. They proudly and prominently feature you. You're in MD in the ads, great ads. There's a Flex Meal is the one you're in, right? For the
Yeah.
meal replacement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it took some guts on their part because they could have just as easily used a bikini or a wellness pro or some fitness influencer? Nobody would have complained, but they chose to have the best female bodybuilder on the planet representing their brand Mutant.
I really thought that maybe those times were long gone. I was hopeful, but I was like, I don't know, right? Because the more muscular divisions, right? It is what it is. But with Mutant, I felt like I think they really wanted to just go with somebody that they felt stood out and that would represent the company well. So, and after meeting Jim, who's an amazing man, it made me that much more solidified in my decision that I don't just want to work, for them. I want to work with them very, very much in the long term. Because it's more like a family. It's definitely much more like a family. I could call any of them up right now and if I needed something, they would help. And they would do what they could. But yeah, I felt like, I think they took a risk, but I think they watched me over time. But I think Sean Ray too, because Sean Ray was my inroad. I've had several conversations with Sean Ray since the Rising Phoenix back in 2019. And it's just been a matter of, establishing relationship. And I think that most people don't realize that in this business and in this industry, relationship says a lot, right? Because it's not just, the brand representing you, it's also you representing the brand. So, let's see what kind of things you put out on social media. Let's see how you interact in various different types of situations, right? Are you reliable and dependable? Do you cancel a whole lot of, when you have engagements? Those types of things kind of will follow you if you aren't the type of person who has a high level of integrity. And I think that Mutant recognized that in me, and I recognize that in them. So it's definitely a match that was made to work.
Give me your top three. If Newton, for some crazy reason, said we can only send you 3 products a month, which three would you choose?
Glutamine, BCAAs, and the EAAs, because the
Oh,
recovery is the name of the game, friend.
okay. Are there any products that you stop when you're in prep? Like a lot of people won't do the meal replacement powders or something, or energy,
Yeah.
protein bars. I don't think they make bars, do they? But are there any that you have to cut out once you're deep into prep?
Yeah, I have to cut off everything except the glutamine, which
Mm,
kind of so. But again, even more reason why the stretching and the Graston and my body work becomes that much more important.
yeah. Okay. Final question, Andrea Shaw. I'm curious. You haven't been beaten since 2019. It's very hard to find flaws in your physique. What aspects of your physique are you still trying to improve on? And what changes have you made to your training to make that happen?
Legs are definitely still a huge improvement. Abs, I don't think there's anybody on the planet who would say that, abs shouldn't be a focus. I
Yeah.
feel like the tighter you can make that waistline, the better. But yeah, definitely legs. I mean, and not just any part of the legs, all the way around, glutes, hamstrings, quads. So this last past prep. Now, normally I do 3 leg days, um, only while in prep. This last off season, I like to call it improvement season. Sydney and I both kind of, are like, yeah, that's better. This last past improvement season, I actually implemented 3 leg days all year round.
Wow. Are they the
All year.
same workout, or is like one quad dominant, one hamstring, one glute, or is it everything every time?
Everything every time. So I just actually toggle back and forth between different variations of leg press and different variations of lunges. I don't really squat much. There is something about, my coach's philosophy of, I have enough mass already, so we don't need to get me any bigger with that lower body that could possibly throw the symmetry off.
Mm.
So yeah, we try to stay away from the squats, but the variations of leg press, or whether it's vertical, horizontal, 35 degree, like plate loaded, stack, we go in for a lot of variations, as many as we can get. And then yeah, a lot of lunges, curtsy lunges, side lunges, walking lunges, single leg lunges, elevated lunge. Like we go pretty hard in for keeping it as varied as possible to keep my body guessing.
And who's your coach again?
John, IFBB Pro John Simmons.
Oh, it's still John. Yeah, John. Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Where Linda and I both are from.
Michigan is where all the Olympia winners are from. Well, except Corey. But yeah, we talked about that before. So that's 18, that's 21 Olympia titles, Ms. Olympia titles out of Michigan. That's
And if
great.
you include Nicole Wilkins, she
Yeah,
was
that's
figure.
fine. Yeah,
She
I
was also
guess. I
from.
mean, kind of. We're talking about Ms. Olympia, but yeah, I just
Sure,
think that's
sure.
crazy that Linda, Iris, and yourself all from Michigan. What are the
Yeah.
odds that the best female by, I'm sure Michigan's not a tiny state. It's not like Rhode Island or something, but
No.
you wouldn't expect like all the great male body Mr. Olympia title winners come from one place. That'd be
Yeah.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
go Michigan. All right.
Michigan's very special.
So wow, I'm boggled that the importance you put on recovery. You have to be because 3 leg workouts a week.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
brutal. That's just brutal. I mean,
And
two
I
two a
don't
week
hold back,
is
Ron. I
it's
don't
tough.
hold back.
Wow. So do you do like every other day, or how do you structure that?
Yeah, it's usually every other day. And I mean, I try to work out 7 days. I mean, it's six is like usually, I mean, it's hard because John has had to tell me, you don't need to work out every day, but I trained my body to do it for so long.
Mm,
I feel odd when if I'm not
yes.
training on a specific day, right? Even if it's just cardio, something, right? I feel
Yeah.
like, and that's the hardest part after a show, right? I feel guilty not doing something. I feel like I need to be doing something, like, whether it's prepping food in the gym, cardio, something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to space it out a little bit, 24 to 48 hours. But again, that almost forces me into a 7 day type of training schedule. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you really love training, taking a day off is just you're like
I know.
falling out of your skin. You don't know what to do with yourself.
You go
There's
stir crazy.
I'm sure you have errands to run. There's stuff that you have to get done, but you still want to train. You still always want to train. You
And I'm
know?
an early morning trainer, so like that's how I start my day. That's like, the errands are usually after. So like for me, if I'm up, 4:35, in the morning, and yeah, I'm ready to go.
So what
Yeah.
time are you at the gym by?
I'm usually at the gym by 5 or
Oh,
5:30. Oh
geez. Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay. I thought you were
Oh
waking
yeah, it
up at
doesn't take
5. That's
long.
bad enough. Wow. So yeah. So you're up at like 3 in the morning, right?
Yeah. My window is usually between 3:30 and 4:30. And then
Oof.
yeah, be to the gym between 5 and 5:30.
Well, you want to be the greatest in the world. This is how it's done, everybody.
Yes,
You can't just roll
indeed.
out of bed at noon like some people do. All
And
right, cool.
drag yourself in. But then it's
Yeah.
quieter for me during that time. That's just my personal, like, opinion. I don't have to wait around for teeny boppers to finish taking selfies on equipment, and
Ah,
I can just get in, do my work, and get out of there.
yeah, I'm curious. I don't know what gym. Do you have an issue with a lot of tripods in your gym yet?
No, thank God. Oh
Um,
man, I don't know if I could handle that, but thank
no.
God my coach owns a gym. My
Oh,
coach owns Anytime Fitness over here, so it's 24 hours, which is excellent. But sometimes, when we're there and we're training clients, like we don't really get a chance to train as much because
mm,
there's work, right? When you're seen, right, you're working.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Well, that is all I have for you, Andrea. You're on track for another Wings of Strength, Rising Phoenix victory, another Ms Olympia victory coming up. 11
Yes.
still years away, but I see it. I see it in your future. I don't know who. I don't see anybody out there right now, and this is not to put anybody down. I just don't see anybody that's ready to take you out. Who knows in a couple of years, maybe some phenomenon is going to come out of the woodwork. But right now, you're the best, and I just don't see that changing for the time being for a while. So,
And well, with implementing those 3 leg days,
mm,
this Miss Olympia is committed to, always making sure that I come better than I did the last time.
that's 3 more leg days than a lot of people out there have. So you're doing good.
Right.
True story. True
Well
story.
said.
Yeah. So congratulations on all that. Wishing you the best in the prep. Everyone be following around at MZ Pretty Muscle on Instagram. Check out Andrea Shaw's progress as she gets closer and closer to the show and more titles. And that's it. Thank you so much, Andrea, for taking the time. Really
Thanks, man.
appreciate it. And everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and turn on your notifications. This has been the Ronline Report with 3-time Ms. Olympia champion Andrea Shaw. We'll see you next time. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.